How much time are you spending on your podcast? Do you feel like you're overwhelmed? Are you slapping something together and just pushing it out and then never promoting it, never getting on other shows, never working to have it grown? Well, I get it. There's a main reason for pod fade is that you're not growing because you're not doing the work. Podcasting is work. Legacy building is work. And I was noodling this for months now because I was listening to a podcast, I don't know, 1 or 2 months ago, and that people were saying they were spending 10 hours a week on editing and maybe a few hours on promotion. So spending like 15 hours per episode, and their show wasn't growing. So I wanted to dig deeper. And then Travis came along and totally blew my mind and was sharing with us how much time we should be spending doing promoting versus creating. And I want to have a conversation about this. Where should you be putting your time to actually grow your podcast so that we can make big dollars from our show? Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome to the podcast about podcasting, where you guessed it, we're talking all things podcasting, but not just in a sense of strategy of how to launch, grow, and monetize your show. Of course, you're going to get that. But we're going deep into how podcasting can actually help you build your community, build your confidence, and if you're willing to lean deep into this platform, it can be the ticket to the life of your dreams because it'll inspire you to go deeper, to get to know yourself. And as we know, success starts from within. If you are ready to stop being a ripple in this world and bust out your tsunami of change you know you were made for, it's podcasting for your soul. I'm your host, Jen Dragonette, so let's dig in. Cheers to being an overthinker, because I have been thinking about this and it has been truly bothering me for a long time. How much time people are putting into editing and creating the perfect audio file, but not spending the time or the commitment on actually growing the things. This happens in every area. I see it I did it. I'm going to raise my hand because this was me, is that I would be 110% in the course, in the launching of the podcast, I just created a new newsletter. When was the last time you got a newsletter from me? Seriously, guys, I'm raising my hand because I am right there with you. I promise. I'm not throwing shade. I'm just throwing some light on the situation. But I'm doing all the things. You're spending hours and hours creating social media content that you're hoping will be found that isn't valid in 12 hours because, again, it's social media, algorithms, blah, 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 blah. So you're spending all this time on a platform. You're spending so much time trying to build on a platform where you become irrelevant really fast. But you're not taking the time to build and put into this legacy platform called podcasting. Podcasting is legacy. Episodes from years and years ago are still being listened to because they're positioned correctly. So how much time realistically should you be putting into your show? Yes, editing, prep, all of that stuff should take you some time. If you are like me and you like to just sit down in front of your computer and record whatever is noodling around in your brain, great. But after this, I have to take it apart, see if it even makes sense, clean it up a little bit for you, make sure I haven't run you down too many side tangents, create some show notes, put it on my blog, and soon we'll be adding it to YouTube also, create something maybe for Pinterest, not really over there. And then I was creating social media graphics. So I was spending for one episode a week, about 3 hours. By time planning, editing, and creating all this content. And where I started going wrong was that I started leaning more into platforms that didn't matter. I started getting lazy, but not in a good way. When Travis told me the other week, I think it was episode 53, when he talked about rebranding, taking a break, when it's time to rebrand, when it's time to pause, and how to come back and capitalize on that, and his cure for pod fade. And he said, if you have a long-term goal, podcasting we think of as the short-term goal, like we think of social media. We want to go viral. We want the trends. Well, what does really going viral do for you? If it's not putting money in your bank, Why? Well, are you just entertaining? If you're not growing followers that are willing to come in and get to know you and grow your business, is it for pleasure, or are you actually doing it to grow your business? If it's just for entertainment, to get followers, to stroke the ego, that's just for pleasure. That is not for your business. Side tangent. Welcome to Jen's life. But he said, if you have a 5-year goal to grow your show and have, at the end of that 5 years, have $10,000 a month coming in from sponsors because you have put in the work, what would that $10,000 that's pretty much passive minus having to create your episodes, what would that be like for you? Would you put in the 40-hour work weeks if you were working for someone else, if in 5 years all you had to do was a couple of interviews and do some of the editing and get it uploaded, which there's a bunch of hacks to make that go faster too, including hiring it out and a whole bunch of other things. But if you could set yourself up to have a consistent amount of money coming in because you have a sponsor on your show, because your show has gained popularity, would it be worth putting the time in? Mind you, in those 5 years, you're still earning money because you're still getting people into your space, selling coaching, your products, your services, affiliates, all of those things. But if there was a sponsorship at the end of it that was like, you guaranteed that you put this commercial in every episode that you're producing, and they give you $10,000 a month, what would that be like? Would it be worth putting in the work up front? This was like a kick in the face to me. And I've been noodling it for quite a while because I see myself doing this all the time. I think I'm putting in the effort. I get burnt out. I get discouraged. My ego takes a hit. And then what happens? I quit. I quit before the going gets good. If I worked for anyone else, I would have fired me by now. 100%. If you were hired as a 40-hour-a-week person or a part-time person, if that's all that we're working, are you doing enough work, making enough movement forward that you would keep yourself as an employee if you were paying yourself for your business? I know I wasn't in a place of doing that. So you have to evaluate where you're putting your time. I love interviewing. Interviewing is a great way to grow my network, both having people come on my show and going to other shows. There was a great episode, I think it was episode 50, that we talked about how to use an interview to create a sale. And I truly love interviews. So with an interview, that's an hour of my time for the interview. Plus I spend at least 30 minutes to an hour for the prep work. And then let's say editing, because I'm not a huge editor and I have some hacks that I use. I spend about an hour to an hour and a half. So that's 3.5 hours I spend on that. There is definitely a way to cut that time down. And when it comes to solo episodes, that 3.5 hours becomes 2 hours. So you truly, for a 1 episode a week, can do it in 2 hours a week. But it doesn't end there. And that's the disservice I keep seeing is, 2-hour work week, da-da-da-da-da. No. You still have got to be connecting. You still have got to be showing up on other shows. You still got to be putting yourself in front of people. And that really just irks me, even with some of my mentors that I absolutely love. Yeah, you can grow. If you want slow growth, you can grow it at 2 hours a week with your show. But when they say grow with 2 hours a week, they don't tell you about the hours and hours and hours and hours that you're going to be spending finding your right keywords, finding your right message, tweaking and learning and all the stuff. They're like, do it in 2 hours a week. Okay, a once a week podcast. You want to reach the charts 2 hours a week? Yeah, you can get it started. But in your mind, you're wanting to see the results that are going to build over 2 to 3 years versus the results that if you put the work in now, you could build in a year. You got to know the speed you want to actually grow your show. So where should you be focusing your efforts? Yeah, get your guests in there. Have the guests. Don't spend as much time editing your show. Stop with the over editing. Use some great softwares. I absolutely love Descript. Edit it like a document. But don't spend all your time doing the editing process. Spend your time sharing your episode, whether that's sharing on social media, whether that's creating your blog post, whether that's putting it up on YouTube, whether that's talking to somebody about it. Share, share, share. In the beginning, it takes more effort. In the beginning, I spent a lot more time on this show than I do now. Right now, with the 2 episodes that go out a week, if it's a solo week, it's about 4 hours a week for the 2 episodes. And if it's a episode with a guest, I spend about 6 hours a week on that. And that includes me setting up my social media strategy and getting out all of those things. But if I want to grow my show, that's 6 hours. Let's say I go interview on someone else's show, so I get a little bit more headway. Now we're at 7 hours. Let's say that I do a guest event and a summit. Now we're at 8 hours. You see, it all adds up. But the things that you have to remember is what is actually moving the needle forward. I do not get a lot of traction, and most people do not get a lot of traction from Meta Land to podcast land. Because Meta Land, we go for quick consumable content, where podcast land, we're here, we're committed to being entertained, educated, or inspired. So think about it. If you're going to spend the time, find where your people are. Yeah, a lot of people are on social media, but it's got to be the right kind of person that's going to hop off of that numb out platform to be fully engaged with you. So where do you want to put your attention? I am putting my attention in people that want to spend more time with me, the blog people, the people that are already listening to shows. And if you don't have the time, then you gotta put the money behind it. Right now, I am working with a podcast promoter and she's promoting my show and I've paid for that. And I wanna see where that goes. I wanna see what happens once she finishes promoting if I retain those people that are listening and that are subscribing. But after that's done, I am going to try podcast player ads because I want to do the testing. I'm going to throw some money at this show to grow and to get in front of the right audience because I want to cut back on some of my time. So is podcasting easy? It takes time. I'm going to say it that way. It takes time and commitment and you having some big girl panties on or big old panties on, big boy panties on, whoever's out there, whatever kind of panties you're wearing or not wearing, you got to pull them up because it is a slow growth, but it's legacy. So you're putting in all this effort now. How much time have you spent building social media? Has it paid you back? Has it paid you back tenfold? If you could spend half the time that you spent building your social media on your podcast, you have a piece of content that is legacy, that lasts a lifetime instead of 12 freaking hours at most. Going viral is not a business strategy, period, end of story. Ask the Hey Hey Emmy on the Hey Hey Emmy show. She's freaking fabulous. But I truly want you to start thinking about where are you spending your time? And if you are spending more time editing and prepping and recording and you're not spending any time trying to promote and get people to listen to your show, then we need to reevaluate how we're spending our time. So now that I've run you around in circles, I just had to get this off my chest because it was truly bothering me about the amount of time people were spending. Get some good equipment. Good equipment doesn't have to cost a fortune. Right now, you're listening on a Samsung Q2U. I think it was $60. Make your life easier by having non-crappy equipment, and you won't be editing as much. And as you grow, as you put out content, things will be easier, and you will be able to pick it up and be in flow where you don't feel like you have to edit all the time. I promise it does get easier. But if you truly want the results, you truly want to be that tsunami impact, you've got to put the time in. These books and all these things, 4-hour work week. Yeah, screw you. You don't come out the gate as a 4-hour work week. You work your booty off to get that 4-hour work week and you're worth it. So why not do it? I want to know, what is the one thing that you're going to go all in on, and what is the one thing that you're going to ditch so that you can put your focus on the things that will grow your business. Come hang out with us inside the community. The link is in the show notes to the Feed Your Business with Love community, because we want to be there with you. We want you to be seen, heard, and loved on for who you are, and paid big dollars to be you. So I will see you on the next episode. Have the most amazing day.